Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You can have a seat. All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Morning, Mr. Depp.
Morning, Mr. Rodenborn.
Yes, 2 days ago, when you first took the stand, you discussed your upbringing and some of the abuse that you suffered at the hands of your mother. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And you testified how she abused you physically, right?
Yes, sir.
Throwing things at you, hitting you.
Yeah, there was quite a, various forms of physical abuse.
And she abused you verbally by insulting you and your siblings, right?
Yes, she did.
And you testified that sometimes that verbal abuse, that emotional abuse was worse than the beatings, right? Do you remember that?
As a child, it has more of an opportunity to plant itself in your head.
Sure.
Yes.
So you'd agree that abuse can take many forms. It can be physical, can be verbal, can be emotional, right?
Indeed.
And you testified that your dad wasn't abusive, but that you saw him punch walls when he was in an argument with your mother sometimes, right?
Excuse me. I witnessed my father, the only reaction that would be called a physical reaction from the abuse he was very stoically taking from my mother. I saw him maybe twice, 3 times, punch a wall. Once, as I said, once he punched the corner of the wall and I watched his hand basically shatter.
Right. Mr. Depp, your walls weren't the only thing that your father punched, were they? In fact, once he punched you in the face and knocked you down, didn't he?
Yes, when I was 15 years old, this was just before I'd dropped out of high school. One morning, yes, in my mind, I was done with school. So he had asked me to, I believe it was something, it was very, he asked me to take the dog for a walk or something, or take out the garbage, something menial, something strange. And I just said, no. And he just gave me a quick shot, pretty hefty, and it rattled my head. It rattled the cage, you know, Tweety
Sure.
birds and stuff. Sure.
So the jury hadn't heard about that before. When he punched you in the face, it actually knocked you to the ground. And then when you got up, you were all too happy to take care of what he wanted you to take care of, right?
I was excited to take care of it at that
Right.
point.
And yesterday, I believe that you testified, why would you hit someone to make them agree with you? It doesn't work. You gave that testimony yesterday, didn't you?
Yes.
Now, you try to conduct yourself as a gentleman, right?
Yes, sir.
And you think that you live up to the standards of a Southern gentleman, right?
That was essentially, you know, when you have deep, deep roots in the South, in Kentucky and such, it's not just your parents, your father, your mother, it's your grandparents, it's your uncles, it's your aunts, it's this, it's that. Yes, raised to be a Southern gentleman, that is to say, when chivalry was still alive and allowed.
Right. And you think you live up to the standards of a Southern gentleman, correct?
I believe I do. I certainly have done my best all my life.
Paul Bettany's a good friend that you've done drugs with, right?
That's a strange question. Paul Paul Bettany is a good friend. Yes.
You've done drugs with him.
Yes, I have.
Cocaine, right?
Cocaine, yes.
Alcohol.
Alcohol, yes.
Pills, including Xanax and Adderall, right?
That I'm not so sure of.
Okay.
Where's he gone?
Your Honor, may we approach?
All right.
I just want to discuss one thing with you,
Okay.
Ms. Myers.
Thank you.
Mr. Depp, you remember giving testimony in the trial in the UK, correct?
Yes.
And you gave that testimony under oath, right?
Yes.
You gave quite a bit of testimony in that trial, right?
I wouldn't be able to judge that myself. It felt like a lot.
Okay, well, let's take a look at some of it. If you can turn to page 45, please, in front of you. It's page 12 of the document. There's 4 transcript
I
pages.
see page 12 of the document, certainly.
Yes, sir.
Oops. Yes, sir.
And
12 of the document, you say?
yes, in the lower left corner, there's a page 45. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And you see that on the bottom of that page, there's a discussion of Paul Bettany and the drugs that you did together. And there was a question. The question is, any sort of pills? And your answer is yes, there could have been Xanax, or if he asked for Xanax or Adderall, whatever, I would, of course, give it to him. Question, so you would supply Paul Bettany with whatever medication or controlled drugs he asked for, is that right? Answer, if he was feeling anxious or if he was feeling unpleasant, I would give him what he asked for. Question, would you give him a Xanax? Answer, yes. Did I read that right?
You certainly did, yes, sir.
And you shared, the two of you shared an enjoyment of controlled drugs or alcohol at that time, right?
The two of us were making a film together.
With respect, sir, that wasn't my question. My question was the two of you shared an enjoyment of controlled drugs and alcohol at that time. Yes or no?
At times.
Yes. And Ms. Hurd was quite adamant that you didn't drink anymore and that you should stop using recreational drugs, right?
Oh, yes.
And she didn't like it when you were high on drugs or drunk on alcohol, right?
She didn't like it when it was her perception that I was high on drugs. Okay. Her perception's quite different than the truth.
And that's what we're after, is the truth. Let's turn to,
Yes,
can you pull up Exhibit 178, please, Michelle?
Is that Defendant's 178 or?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's all right. I just want to make sure.
Oh, I
Mr. Depp,
Objection, Your Honor.
All right.
Can we approach, please?
Okay, sure.
Mr. Depp, this is a text message exchange that you had with Paul Bettany on June 11th, 2013, correct?
Yes, correct.
Your Honor, permission to move for admission of redacted Defendant's Exhibit 178 and permission to publish, please.
We, based off of Your Honor's ruling.
All right.
That's fine.
178 with redactions.
Michelle, could you please blow up the first text at the top? In this text, Mr. Depp, you text Mr. Bettany, "Let's burn Amber," 3 exclamation points, right? You see that?
I do see that.
And at this time, June 11th, 2013, Amber is your girlfriend or perhaps even your fiance at this point, correct?
Girlfriend,
Yep.
for sure.
And you didn't stop when you said, "Let's burn Amber." Because the next text down, you can move down and blow up the next text, please, Michelle. You say, "Let's drown her before we burn her," 3 exclamation points. Did I read that right?
Yes, it's referring
And-
to the
and you
text
didn't-
prior to.
You didn't
from Mr.
stop when
Bettany.
you said, "Let's drown her before we burn her." After that, you made another comment, and I'd like to apologize to the court and to the jury for some of the language that I'm going to have to use today, but unfortunately, you're going to see a lot of documents with language like this. After you said, "Let's drown her before we burn her," Mr. Depp, you said, "I will fuck her burnt corpse afterwards to make sure she is dead." That's what you said that you would do after you burned her and after you drowned her. Did I read that right?
You certainly did, yes.
And you wrote that about the woman who would later become your wife.
Yes, I did.
Can you pull up Exhibit 245, please? Your Honor, there's been no objection to this exhibit, and so I'd move for its admission and ask for permission to publish to the jury.
Give them a moment to.
There's no objection.
Your Honor, we have no objection to the portions that have Mr. Depp's text messages, but at the bottom portion, there is some from his daughter that we would ask be redacted.
Okay, the last two.
And, Your Honor, that's okay, but there was no objection to this
I
on the
understand, but-
exhibit list.
But they don't appear to be relevant, which,
That's fine. We're happy to redact those.
okay. So 245 in evidence with the redactions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Depp, the top text message, we're going to focus on a couple of these, but the top text message is a text from you to Paul Bettany on May 30th, 2014, correct? Might need to scroll over, Michelle.
May 30th, 2014, yes.
And you recall that you testified yesterday about the flight that you took from Boston to Los Angeles on May 24th, 2014, right?
Yes.
You remember that? Okay.
Yes, I do.
And you testified yesterday that you didn't have any drinks before that flight, or maybe you had a glass of champagne or something. Remember giving that testimony?
Yes, I believe I said I had a glass of champagne on the plane.
Right. So in this text, if you could blow up, Michelle, please, that top text. On May 30th, 2014, you texted Mr. Bettany, just a little bit smaller. You texted Mr. Bettany, "I'm going to properly stop the booze thing, darling. Drank all night before I picked Amber up to fly to LA this past Sunday. Ugly, mate. No food for days. Powders. Half a bottle of whiskey. 1,000 Red Bull and vodkas. Pills. 2 bottles of champers on plane. And what do you get? An angry aggro engine in a fucking blackout, screaming obscenities and insulting any fuck who got near. I'm done. I'm admittedly too fucked in the head to spray my rage at the one I love." Read that again. "I'm admittedly too fucked in the head to spray my rage at the one I love. For little reason as well. I'm too old to be that guy, but pills are fine." Did I read that right?
Yes, you did.
And when you said pills are fine, this was when you were just starting treatment with Dr. Kipper to try to get off of the pills that you testified about yesterday, right?
This is when I was still on the roxicodone. It was before the detox on the island, yes.
Right, and you testified that when you were in Boston filming Black Mass, which you flew from Boston to LA, that you had just retained Dr. Kipper to help you try to combat that pill problem, right?
Yes.
Could you go 2 texts down, please, Michelle? And this is a text that you sent on June 8th, 2014. Just scroll over to Patty Smith. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And in this text, I won't read all of it, but you say this. I'm going to just read the first paragraph. "My darling Patty Lee, I miss you and worship you, and there is nothing wrong between us. Never, ever could that happen. I've just been so beyond busy with film here in Boston and then back to LA for kiddies. When I was in NYC, they were brief visits and fucked and charged by horrific fights with Amber. I fucked up and drank and got shitty. Was so disappointed in myself. Actually, almost walked to your place at about 3:30 a.m. the last time I was there, unable to stop he tears. Did I read that right?
You did.
Michelle, can you please take that down and let's pull up Exhibit 325, please. Mr. Depp, is this a text message exchange that you had with Ms. Heard on December 18th, 2014?
I see that.
Your Honor, I would move for admission of this exhibit and ask for permission to publish.
All right, any objection?
May I have a look at the,
Of course.
You can look at the
Your
bottom.
Honor, may we approach real quick?
Okay, sure.
And Michelle, if you could just scroll down so the court and Mr. Depp's counsel and Mr. Depp can see it all. Is that all of it?
Sorry, Your Honor, we have no objection with the, to the unredacted version.
Okay, so this version that
Okay.
I'm seeing right now, correct? Just make sure.
Yes.
Okay, all right, 325 in evidence. Hold on.
Excuse me, sorry, I just want to make clear, we haven't seen the other pages, but this page we have no
This
objection
is
to.
the only page?
I believe this is the only page to the document, Your Honor, right?
325 is only one page?
Just one page.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
No redactions, other than identifiers, but yes, you can do this one. Go ahead.
And Michelle, if you can blow up the large text at the top of the page. Mr. Depp, on December 18th, 2014, you sent this text to Ms. Heard, and I'm going to read it. And it says, "It's away. I've let it go. Went too far. We/I tend to do that. I always regret it when I jump, or worse, when you jump. I don't want to be conditioned to continue that behavior. Therefore, I'll put in heavy work with Shrank. I'm sorry for being less, for your disappointment in me, for my behavior. I'm a fucking savage. Gotta lose that. Gonna lose that. The devil is all around, right? I wish I were able to bring even just a glimmer of a smile to the pretty face of my most gorgeous of dreams and darkest nightmares. I love you far too much for you and I to be these heinous, slinging insults like we do/did. It is not anything that I am particularly proud of to have participated in, and I regret giving it life. Because, motherfucker, how when we fight, little girl, how do we end up on the very edge of the precipice? And why? Wish I knew. Goddamn. And know that you are right. I am well aware that I should have been bigger than the moment, and that it will never again manifest in negative experiences. It can be done. What a killer concept to visualize. Wish you were in this lunatic's proximity. Be careful out there. I adore you. Did I read that right?
You did.
You can take that down, Michelle. If you could please pull up Exhibit 153.